Oh boy, Marco D'Amico, going out there and dropping a scoop that has the hockey world in shambles. Let's go out there and talk about the latest from Marco D'Amico and one of his pieces from earlier today. Behind the scenes at the 2025 draft, Marner talks, Hagens, and the Kyrou buzz. This article, as always, will be linked in the description. D'Amico does a good job in giving a little bit of extra info in regards to a bunch of Montreal Canadiens related things. And we'll dive into all of this and more too, heading into the next few days, or maybe even not in the next few days, maybe in the next few hours, honestly. There's a lot to get into with the Habs, but this is one of the main points that has been making the rounds on social media from this piece. It involves Montreal and it involves Edmonton, and how the Oilers are exploring a Mike Matheson trade. The Edmonton Oilers have made it known they want to upgrade their defense, and sources confirm they've expressed interest in Canadiens D-man Mike Matheson. The Oilers are said to value Matheson's mobility and ability to carry the puck out of the defensive zone, qualities they feel could complement their high-octane offense led by McDavid and Draisaitl. Matheson's name is one to watch as Edmonton looks to solidify its back end, while word is out there that the Oilers could consider moving Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to make cap space. Then there's an edit. Nugent-Hopkins is not being shopped, but teams continue to inquire. And this, oh boy, this would be a trade for the ages should things actually go down that way. Mike Matheson for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins? I know the article doesn't directly say that, but it does use both of these guys' names in the same point to make the same argument that trade talks have not stopped. And I think this actually would be a very... do I want to say it's equal? I know Oilers fans would absolutely take the piss out of this video if that was the case, right? Y'all would hate me for saying that, but... I don't know. It wouldn't be the first time I've pissed off the Oilers fan base, so I don't know. But I'll say it like this. Mike Matheson is a guy whose overall value to the Montreal Canadiens diminished the second Lane Hutson stepped out onto the ice. That's not to say that Matheson isn't a good player. He's not talented anymore. Oh, he lost everything once Hutson came on. That's a little bit dramatic, but I will say that the role that Matheson had with the team was kind of tossed out the window ever since Lane Hutson took his spot in the power play. That's not to say that Matheson doesn't have any value at even strength in carrying the puck, in facilitating play properly, but I will say that the 62-point year that he had in 23-24 might have just been an outlier. I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Matheson never hit 60 points in an NHL season ever again. He's going to be playing on power play twos for the rest of his career if he stays in Montreal, and if he goes to a team like Edmonton, he's not dethroning Evan Bouchard. But there is the possibility that if he does go over to the Oilers, and if he does find a way to mesh with Draisaitl in a 5v5 capacity, he probably could be a consistent 40-point guy. I mean, I don't think that's out of the question. He was a very productive Montreal Canadiens D-man because of that power play time. He just wouldn't be getting that with the Oil. He would, however, be an upgrade, I would say, over a guy like John Klingberg, maybe? I'd say that Matheson's a better D-man than Jake Wallman, as much as everybody loved him and his demeanor throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs this year. Matheson would be an upgrade, and everybody talks about how the Oilers need better defense and they need better goaltending, etc., etc. Although I will say, maybe it's not the best defense if your blue liner like Matheson is just taking shots at the point only to get blocked by shin pads every so often. I digress, that's just kind of a Canadiens nitpick. But Habs fans talking about the idea of a Matheson trade, I feel like they'd be a lot more open to this as well, because you think about that left side in Montreal, Goulet, Hutson, Xhekaj, that's already 3, not to mention Jaden Struble, that's a 4th, Matheson's a 5th, and all of a sudden you don't have any room for anybody else on the right side other than Noah Dobson, which doesn't sound good when you think about Alexandre Carrier getting his minutes reduced. There's kind of a logjam on D in Montreal at this moment, So if you go Hudson-Dobson, you go Goulet-Carrier, that's your top 4 right there. If you want to keep Struble in the lineup, okay, fine. If you want to keep Xhaka in the lineup, okay, fine. Then you got to think about Reinbacher and Mailloux. Those are already enough names to fill out 8 spots on a decor. Where does Mike Matheson fit into that? Who really knows? If you sent over Matheson to Edmonton, you get a guy like Nugent-Hopkins in return, then that's a fantastic second-line center to play behind Nick Suzuki. I'll admit he is a little bit older. Nugent-Hopkins, first overall, yes, he's fantastic, and a 100-point NHL scorer. But he was drafted in 2011. He would be one of the oldest guys to come onto this Montreal Canadiens team as a part of their quote-unquote core, and he's 32 years old. So he is kind of in the second half of his career at this point, signed on till the end of 28-29, making $5.125. That contract's really good, by the way. I get that Nugent-Hopkins only had 49 points this year in 78 games, but he was a point-per-game stud in the playoffs, and he's just a few years removed from 100. When you play him with the right players, he can get points, and he can score goals. He can do a lot of good things out there onto the ice. And in Montreal, while it's true he might not necessarily be given top-tier power play time with the likes of Suzuki, Caulfield, Demidov, Slavkovsky, and Hudson, there still would probably be a very good opportunity for him if he's on a power play too with Noah Dobson and Brendan Gallagher, and then I guess you could toss out somebody else there, Patrick Laine. Gallagher, Laine, Dobson. Do you want 3 righties on 1 power play unit? I don't know. You could have Galley as the net front guy. Yeah, no, I think that kind of makes sense, right? It works. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins signed a really good extension to stick around in Edmonton, so I don't really know if he would be interested in going to a team like Montreal. He does have full no-move protection, after all. Now, for what it's worth, D'Amico did say on Twitter that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins potentially being available and Mike Matheson being of interest to the Oilers aren't necessarily connected, but I think it's a fun narrative to dive into anyway. And besides, he says not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's like, oh, it could happen, but not necessarily. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on this idea of Mike Matheson, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. What do you think about this entire idea here? If the Habs are looking for centers and Nugent-Hopkins' name is floating around, it would only make sense that this type of idea would be explored, especially with the reports that the Oilers are interested fully in acquiring Mike Matheson. What are your thoughts about this entire thing? If you're an Oilers fan, would you want a guy like Matheson on your squad? Does he fix whatever needs that you have? If you're a Canadiens fan, is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins a center target that you value for second-line C behind Nick Suzuki? Or would you much rather go after, let's just say, a Jordan Kyrou, who can play center? He can. Or do you stick to your guns with some of the other guys that have been available all summer long? Marco Rossi has always been out there. People are talking about free agents to be. Mikael Granlund, is that an option? Let me know in the comment section all your opinions about this. I hope you enjoyed this British Roll Sign on. And bye.